This is Tom Dinky reporting outside the Student Association office Thursday night after the unopposed Union Party officially won the SA election, in which 217 students voted. Minahil Khan was elected the president, Sean Kaczmarek was elected vice president, and Pace was elected the treasurer. The Spectrum just spoke with the future E-Board to get their thoughts on next year and what their goals are going forward.
It was extremely exciting. Even having it be an unopposed election, we were still out there on the floor, so it was exciting to get the vote counts back and figure out how many students voted and officially have noticed that we'd been elected. So.
How did you guys find out? Did Matt email you? Just kind of what happened?
We got an email from Matt, and Sean and I were actually together at the celebration of academic excellence. And we were in a group text with Joe, with each other virtually when we found out.
Just kind of how different is it? I mean, obviously, like in years past, it's usually an announcement in here and kind of a big reveal. How different does it kind of feel? Because you've probably seen in years past.
Right. It certainly felt different. I have been involved with SA elections my freshman year, so I know the intensity that happens, right before elections are result and the hour that you're waiting. But it felt different. Going into it, we knew it was going to be different. So running an unopposed election, the whole process ever since our opponents have dropped out has been a little bit different than what I'm used to. But, we continued through, tried to campaign as much as we could, and then just kind of anticipated that the election results would be a little bit different.
And just why did you guys feel like it was kind of important to still go out there in the union and kind of campaign? Just why was it still important for you guys?
At the end of the day, whether or not we're unopposed, students are still paying $100 a semester, so there's still value and an investment from them in their student government. So at least, we wanted to be out there at least to let them know that elections were happening. I met lots of students who didn't know what the Student Association was, and I hope that our interaction and our introduction maybe would make them think about how they can get involved with SA, or some of them had gone to Fall Fest or Spring Fest but didn't know that SA was the organization behind it. So I think it really helped get the word out a little bit more, and I think just from ensuring a process of elections, it was nice to be out there and encourage students to vote.
Obviously, the voter turnout was a little low. I mean, I'm sure the unopposed election had something to do with that more than in most years, but is there anything that you guys think that you could kind of do to kind of make sure that maybe next year, just any ideas that can be done to get more voter turnout, and why is that kind of important?
I think, it's important, especially with elections with two parties, just to make sure that students are really voting for who they believe is going to be the best representation for them. I think a lot of our platform deals with creating an inclusive environment, getting more student involvement, and I'm hoping through that process we, as an organization, reach out to more students, and I hope that more students just run for positions, and I think that is the best advertisement we can get, because the more students that are running, the more of the people they know will be aware that they're running and have a more vested interest in the Student Association election.
Have you given any thought to the delegate process? Is there any update you kind of give with that, or anyone you kind of thought of for
in
that?
terms of appointing? So the way it works is, according to SUNY guidelines, it has to be someone that's appointed that did at some point run in a whole student-wide election. So in terms of people who are eligible for the delegate process, I automatically am one, and then Sean, Joe, the UC council rep, if it happens to be an undergrad, and then the senators who are elected in a school-wide undergraduate election. So whoever the delegates are, they're going to come from the people that I just listed. So given that a whole chunk of them haven't been decided yet, there's no official update, but definitely looking for people who want to be involved in the SUNY process and would do a good job representing UB.
So it'll have to be someone like a senator who was elected,
right,
or somewhere.
So it'll either have to be senator, one of either the vice president or treasurer, or the university council representative if they're students. So SUNY mandates that it has to be someone who was elected by students, student-wide, even if they are appointed.
So technically one of you guys can serve in that delegate role as well?
So the way the SUNY process works is that the president is automatically a delegate, and then according to your population, you get so many more. So I'm definitely going to represent UB, and then we get 4 more spots. So out of those 4 more, all those 4 students have to be students that also ran in a school-wide election.
Okay. Just what's what's next for you guys here? When you kind of start getting into it? Is right after the semester ends, and just kind of what your plans are for the summer to kind of get the ball rolling?
We're super excited to get to start right away. We want to look forward to releasing hiring super soon and get those information sessions and the listserv emails out there, and then really spending the summer working out some of the details of plans we wanted to do and making those calls out to set up programming and all of that in the fall, so that when students come back and our staff comes back, everyone's super energized and ready to go.
Yeah, good. Okay. Yeah, just for you personally, what were kind of your thoughts when you first heard, election was kind of over, it's official now, sense of relief, just what was kind of going through your head?
I mean, we all kind of knew, at least for the past couple weeks, what was going to happen. We knew it was going to be an unopposed election, but it still was kind of a relief. Like, we were on the floor, like Minahil said. We were still campaigning, trying to inform students about our platform and just the Student Association in general. So just to know that I guess the process was over, that we can kind of start looking forward to the summer, to hiring our staff. It was kind of a relief to know we can move on to the next step.
Yeah. And again, I mean, you guys have been involved in that SA, so I'm sure you're used to the election nights being a little bit different and here and stuff. Just how kind of different is it this year? Just this whole feeling, having an unopposed election and just kind of knowing going in what was going to happen.
Well, I've been involved for SA elections for the past couple of years since I was a freshman here. So election night is a little different. Usually everybody's in the Student Association office ready to hear the results. So there was kind of a hype build up to that, which we didn't have. But like I said, we knew we weren't going to have it. So our focus mainly was just kind of informing students and things like that. But it was kind of, since we knew the end result, we couldn't control that, so we just kind of went about what we needed to do.
Just talk a little bit about how this party kind of came together and what you guys kind of saw, why you thought this might be a party that got elected and was able to, do it, just kind of how it formed together.
Well, I mean, myself, Minahil, and Joe, we all know each other through working through the Student Association in our roles. So even coming into the year, we weren't really sure whether it was something we wanted to do necessarily, so we would talk about it, we thought about it. And then just kind of when we got together and said, well, the roles we've had in the past, Minahil's position on the University Student Council, she already knows a lot of administration, has worked on a lot of campus. So I think so. She kind of slid into the president's role. It fit nicely. My work in SISH, which has the largest amount of clubs, that kind of fit into the vice president's role. And then Joe being on finance committee for 2 years and running A&E ball and engineering week, a lot of events that require thousands and thousands of dollars of POs, and knowing SAFE, he kind of fit into that treasurer role really well. And we were familiar with each other. We knew how well we worked together and how we could trust each other. So I think that's pretty much how we formed, and we kind of just discussed it throughout the year.
What's kind of next for you personally? I kind of asked Minahil for what you guys are going to do over the summer, but what's kind of something that you're looking to kind of do now that you guys have the role, and just over the summer in terms of getting clubs together, I'm sure is what you're going to be focusing on.
I mean, like Minahil said, for all of us, we're all looking forward to getting ready to hire our staff and kind of working on the things we're set out to do that we mentioned to you guys already. But for me specifically, I guess, in the vice president's role, it's a lot of times going to be getting the club handbook together and then working with Joe for rollover processes and what the budgets will look like next year. So for me personally, that's probably going to be some of my projects over summer.
And that's just kind of, what's your thoughts when it's kind of all over now? What's kind of your thoughts looking back on it now that you're kind of officially in those roles? What's kind of just going through your head?
It was definitely an interesting experience. I've never really been super engaged in the election process before, so it was definitely different just based on what I've seen from pictures and talking to people in terms of kind of like the big reveal at the end, which kind of was more of an expected result. So it was definitely a little different. I know we're really excited to move on to hiring and kind of getting into summer programming, rollover, freshman orientation, all those other things that really kind of make things tick.
Just for you personally, what are kind of your goals now that you're kind of in that position? Just in terms of once the semester's over and once the summer starts, is kind of what do you kind of want to do to prepare yourself for that role once the next semester starts?
I kind of want to delve into like the finance portion of it. Obviously, working with bookkeepers and Steven, the pro staff in the finance department, and try to really increase my understanding and knowledge of kind of what's going on, what are maybe problems that need to be ironed out, frequently asked questions, things to make sure that we're making clubs aware of when orientations roll around in the fall. Then during the summer, obviously the rollover process is one of the big platform points that I kind of pushed for. So making sure that process goes really smoothly, making sure clubs know if they're going to get it, if they're not going to get it, and how the policy works and everything like that. So I think kind of as the semester comes to a close, kind of the education factor is going to be a really big push that we have.
Why did you personally want to join like the ticket, and just how did it kind of come together, you three in particular, just wanting to run, and why do you think that it was a party that could get to this point and be elected?
I think the three of us kind of each have a very diverse background, as Sean sort of alluded to, and it really it just sort of came together for us. Obviously, we discussed it, off and on over the course of, this past year, and sort of things just fell into place, and we decided it was something that, personally we could work as well as, something we also really wanted to do, and we could all, take the time to really put in and invest and do a really good job.
Yeah, just you kind of touched on it a little bit, but just it kind of feeling different from years past, where usually, there's kind of like a big build up and everything like that, an announcement. Did it feel kind of different, and just what kind of, went into it, and just how does it kind of feel different from years past?
It's definitely different. Normally you see like a video on Facebook of, everyone all crowded in here with their respective parties, and then, the ENC chair makes the announcement, and one group of people is really happy and the other group is really sad. And now, this was just, I got a text from Matt, the elections credentials chair, which just said, hey, here are the vote counts. And then I finished eating the sandwich that I was eating, and I kind of, just went on with my day.
At that point, was it almost kind of, a relief throughout the week that, in most years, you guys are probably, you're probably sweating and you're really nervous and stuff, where this year it's kind of, you kind of know what to expect going into it. Just maybe talk about, and as any, past people who've run for these positions, have they kind of talked to you about how it's so different in the past, where normally this week you'd be so nervous, well, as this week, you guys kind of knew what to expect?
I haven't really reached back to sort of talk to you about the election experience, just because, it's obviously very different than everything else. I think the last time there was an uncontested election was in 2008, so obviously those people are, they're long gone, and so I wasn't really looking for any sort of, conversation in regards to that. We're definitely trying to look into history in terms of, policy and that sort of thing, and really how to improve, but not as much for election things.
Reporting for the Spectrum, I'm Tom Dinky.